What's up, everybody? My name's Thomas, and today we're going to talk about Doberman pinchers, or rather, whether a Doberman is right for you. There are a lot of fantastic reasons to own a Doberman, but as with everything in life, there are some caveats as well. Whether you're thinking about adopting a Doberman, purchasing a bred Doberman from a reputable breeder, or you're just curious in general about a Doberman pinscher, like I said, they're a fantastic breed. I've owned Dobermans for nearly 40 years now. So I think it's a good topic to dig into. There's a lot of information to be had and probably a lot of misconceptions out there as well. So let's dig in. So the origins of the Doberman pinscher aren't all that well known. They were originally bred by a guy named Carl Frederick Louis Doberman. Try saying that 5 times. A tax collector in Germany in the 19th century, and as a tax collector, as you can imagine, he wanted a dog that would protect him and guard his caravan. And back in the 19th century, you could get away with Robin Hooding a tax collector on the road in the middle of nowhere in ways that you couldn't get away with today. So it was a pretty reasonable concept, what he was pursuing, and ultimately ended up with the Doberman pinscher that we know of today. Of course, there are a few types of Dobermans. There's also the European Doberman and the Australian Doberman to go with the American Doberman. American Doberman is probably the sleekest of the variety, and the European Doberman is a little buffer, a little shaggier coat, and there's some temperamental differences there that we'll get into later. But the breed's original purpose was to be a guard dog. It was to guard this guy, Carl, from, thieves on the trail. And over the years, the breed has been refined a little bit from what we understand. There's, Rottweiler, Greyhound. There's an extinct species of black and brown terrier in there somewhere. Blue Great Dane, Weimaraner, and there's a few others that I can't list off the top of my head, but quite a few animals went into this dog with the goal of creating a super intelligent, super guardian type instinctive dog. And he was pretty successful, I'd say. Now, when it comes to Doberman temperament, it's done 2 things for the breed as a whole. Number 1 is nobility, family, characteristics, guardianship. They act as sentinels. So it's the ultimate dog in terms of that particular job. However, it is also created something that the pit bull shares. People worried about their aggression, an overall angry temperament. And there are statistics out there that, usually list the Doberman pinschers as a breed of aggressive dogs, showing how many attacks in such and such a year. Problem with those attacks is it's rare that any of those attacks have any context with it, such as somebody breaking into a home, Doberman attacks that person, that goes into statistics somewhere, but not necessarily the reason behind it. Fortunately, Dobermans are very low on those lists. I think they contribute Doberman deaths to like 9 in some 20 odd years. So, but unfortunately, they still have a pretty bad rep, and will generally drive up insurance rates on rental properties if you're trying to rent a place, or the dog is just banned from that property altogether. The best kind of owner for a Doberman, considering their temperament, is somebody who's going to be able to spend a lot of time with it, and it's somebody who likes to go outside and exercise. Dobermans are highly energetic. They are considered to be one of the top 5 smartest dogs in the world by the AKC. They are frequently in top 5 and top 10 lists as a very, very intelligent breed. So they need their minds worked. They need their bodies worked. They are a working animal, although the American Doberman is probably more of a family Doberman than, say, the European Doberman, who is closer to the guardian side of things. However, American Dobermans they still have that guardian mentality, and if you don't appreciate a dog that barks at a noise outside of the door at 2 o'clock in the morning, then you probably shouldn't get a Doberman pinscher. The Doberman's guarding instinct is probably its most reputable feature. The American Doberman has lost a bit of that today, and they are more of a family-oriented companion dog that's generally great with family and kids. However, that guardian instinct is not completely gone, which is why it's incredibly important to socialize your Doberman at a young age so they don't utilize those guardian instincts against a friend of yours who the dog's never met that you've invited over for dinner or whatnot. For the most part, the American Doberman, the European Doberman is far more, hardcore guardian in nature. The American Doberman still retains those guardian instincts, but is much more family oriented. So it's more of a well-rounded, protective family dog than the original Dobermans that Carl created. In terms of family dynamics, Dobermans interact with children and other pets very, very well, so long as they are socialized early on in their life. Now, there's the occasional Doberman you may get lucky and you won't have to deal with any of that socialization stuff when they're younger, or you just have a large family and the dog's used to, loud noises and things of that nature, and you won't have to worry about it. But they're great family dogs, so you don't have to worry about them around your own kids, but around other people's kids and other people. If they're not properly socialized when they're young, it could become problematic. So it's important to really, indulge in their training and their socialization aspects when they're young. Living environments are similar. They need plenty of exercise. They need room. They need space. These are very agile, fast, high energy animals, and they love to play and train and learn. It's funny because I wanted to talk about grooming needs as well, and grooming is a situation that we're currently dealing with Athena. She's got some really, really dry, itchy skin and some allergies going on that's affected her. It affected her fast before we could really respond to it and kind of head it off. So now we're trying to counteract it with, some coconut oil and some better types of shampoo, some veterinary recommended shampoos, stuff like that. But it does lead me to my next point was that Dobermans tend to have, skin problems. And I wouldn't say problem, but I would just call it sensitive. They're very sensitive, their skin. Not all Dobermans, just a lot of them have this issue. You may get lucky and not have to deal with it at all. As a short-haired breed, you don't have to get too crazy with their fur. You do need to, give them a good brush every day. Nothing intense or crazy unless you're taking it to a dog show or something, but give it a good brush down every day. In normal mode, you want to bathe your Doberman once every 2 weeks or so. And, not a big excruciating bath. My Dobermans hate baths, so you don't want to get really crazy with it. I did do a bath video that you can check out as well. When you're bathing Dobermans, you always need to go with their fur. And again, it comes back to that skin thing, but shouldn't give them a bath every 2 weeks. If they have really sensitive skin, you may want to up that to once a week, and make sure you use a skin sensitive type of shampoo, preferably with oatmeal on it. We also incorporate coconut oil into and just kind of rub it on to the dog, and that it's a natural antifungal, antibacterial, and it moistens their skin or relieves some of that itching, especially with what Athena's dealing with right now. Their most common health considerations that veterinarians will list for Doberman is exactly that: sensitive skin. So, like I said, you may get lucky, but fawns and blue Dobermans tend to suffer from this more than the black and the red Dobermans. So definitely be on the lookout for it. It's something you want to head off before it happens, especially right before winter or right before summer. These are two areas when they tend to have the most skin problems if they're going to occur. Now, as far as health considerations, anytime you're dealing with a purebred animal, you're going to have more health issues than you are with mixed breeds, or mutts, as some people like to call them. That's just the nature of the beast. Purebreds tend to have more issues. With Dobermans, it tends to be a thing called Willebrand disease and wobbler disease, and mostly these things revolve around their joints, We feed our dogs a lot of extra beef and bone broth because that's, supposed to be very helpful for their joints. You just literally pour it on their dog food and it increases the flavor anyway. It's beef broth, and obviously dogs are going to love it. But arthritis is an issue that they tend to have. Hip dysplasia is an issue that they tend to have. They have an issue with, and I can't say, I may have already mentioned the disease, but the spinal cord it's mostly a joint thing. And it's not as bad as German Shepherds. I mean, a lot of old German Shepherds, you'll see them walking around all hunched down because their hip is messed up. Now, that will that sometimes happens to Dobermans as well, but it's not as frequent. They're long, sleek dogs, so joints are a big thing with them. You can counteract them when they're young and healthy by feeding them foods and supplements that help improve their joints. Okay, I've kind of put together a little rating system in my head. When it comes to trainability, I give Dobermans a 9 out of 10. That's because these are highly intelligent dogs and you have to work with them mentally. Otherwise, they're going to have problems like high stress and anxiety. The reason I don't give them a 10 out of 10 is Dobermans they also tend to be stubborn. They like to try to outwit you. And it's kind of hard to give you an example of that. It's just something you'd have to experience for yourself. But they do try to get around your little rules and regulations. Sometimes they do it in funny ways. But I give them a 9 out of 10. When it comes to sociability, 7 out of 10. Like we said earlier, American Dobermans are less the guardian than they used to be, but that guardian is still very much in their blood, and you got to socialize them young, and you got to get them around people. You got to get them around other dogs and animals and other children. That way they're used to that kind of thing, and if you have a friend over that the dog's never met before, you don't have to worry about the dog becoming a little aggressive. As far as their physical activity, as physical dogs, they get a 10 out of 10. They got to be exercised. They need to go outside. They need to run. They need to play as much as possible each and every day. I mean, don't overdo it, but they're agile dogs. They're fast dogs. They can run up to 30-something miles per hour. They definitely need to get outside and get some exercise. As far as their adaptability, I give them a 6 out of 10. That's mostly because you can eliminate single bedroom homes and apartments or areas with very small yards. Dobermans don't like non-spacious areas. We have an enormous den in our home. We have a 3-bedroom home, 2-bathroom, and our den is just huge. And the Dobermans, they love it in here. It's comfortable for them. They got plenty of space to move around, and Athena and Aries can even jump up and play with each other without wrecking half the furniture in the house. And we have a pretty sizable backyard. They can definitely get out there and they can sprint if they want to without running into the fence because they've run out of room. So that's definitely a must, and a 6 out of 10, I feel like it's fair because apartments, and a lot of people, have smaller homes or live in apartments, and that's just not feasible for a Doberman. You shouldn't do that to a Doberman. If you have a small home with a large yard, that might be doable if you allow your Doberman to get outside quite a bit, move around and stretch those legs, work those joints. With good health, good nutrition, you might be able to make that work. But for the most part, you can eliminate all of those. You need a big home. You need a big yard. All right, here we are at the end. That about wraps it up. Doberman pinchers, folks. Gotta love them. I've owned many Dobermans over my life. Bumper, Sensei, Athena, Aries, Titus. It's been a heck of a journey. I love Dobies. I think they get a bad rap a lot. And I think that they're definitely a dog that you should look into if you're interested. Give it a try. Do your homework. You should never, go out and purchase a dog or adopt a dog without doing any kind of homework on their background. They can be a handful at times, but not always. Anyway. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Those kinds of things help us promote our videos, get things going, keep the ball rolling, whatever you want to call it. I got lots of things I want to review, cover, and bring to you guys. So the more you do that, the better for us. Also, be sure to comment. You got any stories you want to tell, or you own Dobermans yourself? and you have some health tips, bathing tips, any kind of tips and tricks that you want to share with everybody, feel free to do so. I'll always try to jump on there and answer your questions and concerns to the best of my ability. And I enjoy reading the little comments as well. Other than that, appreciate everybody watching and have a fantastic day.